I greeted him and I said, hotel. He looked at me and said, hostel. I said, hotel. I said, hotel. So he took me in the bike and then we started going. And I asked him, is it cheap? He said, cheap one day, expensive one day. So at least I was happy that we could communicate in Pidgin because I can't speak Hausa, right? So not long after we passed one road, there were different block houses. They were cemented and plastered, barely painted. They had things like physics lord, vote for me, SUG. So I knew we were somewhere in a good place. And then we got to the end of the road. When we got inside, it was about 5 minutes drive into the streets. I came down and I saw another motorcycle going out. So I entered and I was trying to look for a reception, and then one man came to meet me. And I greeted him and told him, oh, how much for a night? In fact, the bike man was even asking me, he said, post UTM. I said, no, I don't finish that one. So just to be on the safe side, because I saw how inside the place was, I collected his number and told him I'll call him in the morning to come and take me out. Because if I'm going to walk out to the express before I get to the ski gate, by the time I was going to go out in the morning, I'll spend over 30 minutes trekking out of that place. And it's not keep fit. It's not fit farm I came to do in Niger State. Do you understand? So yeah, I had to be proactive and think in that direction. So I greeted this other man. He told me the price. I tried to negotiate and reduce the price of the room per night for 2K. And that's there when he said, you look like my sister, or yeah, Igbo, Abi, yeah, Igbo. And then it would have worked, but I don't even speak Igbo. I don't understand Igbo. So yeah, I got somewhere to stay. Say, there's water in the bathroom, water there here, but this one. Anyway, all of that. I was hungry, so I asked where I could get food. He told me that you can buy me anything, just that I will pay 300 naira, 150 go, 150 come. I said okay. So I told him rice and stew. He said with beans. I said no beans. And then yeah, rice and stew came. I ate that. Tried to sleep. I wasn't feeling well when I made the trip, so I took medications, rolled on my bed till 3 a.m. By 3 a.m. I started feeling sleepy and I knew it was the devil. Anyway, before 5, I got up, family was already calling, took my bath, called the motorcyclists, and then we started going into the school. So before 6, or by 6 actually, we were in. They had this new TED fund computer building that had different blocks. So there were about 3 of the blocks that were used for it. By the time I got there, we were less than 5 people. Just to tell you how early I arrived at my location. I had some chin-chin, so I ate some chin-chin, took some medication, and drank water. Then later people came, people started gisting, started talking, and then that's when I realized that a number of people that worked in that particular location in Mina, Niger State, had to travel in. Some people were even just coming in from other states, and I'm like, wow, that's a gamble, Yeah, and I also learned from the experience that a number of people that came to write already had jobs and were looking for better jobs, or had applied to previous graduate trainees and whatnot. So by about 8 o'clock, they came, gave some instruction. There were armed personnel around. Some nice young looking people came in a white Coaster bus. So I guess this will be the NNPC people. They opened up the venue, and then I began to hear things about ID card, and I was like, what's that? Because my guardian asked me the day before when I was traveling, do you have an ID? I said no. They said only bring the printed paper, and the printed paper had a barcode that was unique to everybody. And then people were telling me ID card. So yes, my biggest problem then was ID card. I was praying, fingers crossed. Anyway, they told everybody to drop their ID card. So in the end, we were even. There was a place for people to keep their things, and there was security outside waiting. They told us to form 2 lines, one for girls, one for guys. If you are in center A, this is center A, this is center B, this is center C. So they'll check you, they'll verify by scanning the QR code, they'll try to pronounce your name, they'll smile at you, and then they tell you good luck. And then there was one guy, I think, let's just say he was a center manager from NNPC, because that was the role he played. And he kept saying, good morning, we wish you the best. It's not hard, it's very easy. We want you to get in. I need you to know that NNPC needs you more than you need us. We need you. You know, he just kept saying all this, and I was like, So yeah, of course, they checked us, and we went in, and we sat. So not long after I sat in front of my system, my tummy started making some kind of sounds. I was like, I didn't eat beans. The only thing I ate was rice and stew, and the day before I didn't really eat anything that should disturb me. So I tried to endure for a while, and after a while I was like, my village people found me in Mina. So I had to get up and ask for where the restroom was. And in making that decision, I found the restroom. I went there. I came out. I felt better. So we sat down, and then they came in. And what I want to speak about next is very important in the way they assigned our login details to us, which I think is very important. So in my center, they were very patient. They had a number of people helping, and I think part of the things they did that I felt was exciting was leveraging partnership, especially with JAM, to use JAM CBT centers, and you know, like JAM played the role of like a contractor in handling recruitment, as opposed to NNPC thinking of how to build centers or set up centers. I think another thing that I would say is very commendable was the inclusivity for special needs and people that were disabled, in getting them the aid that they needed, whether it was a comfortable wheelchair to sit on or an interpreter or something. So I think that was also a big plus. So we sat down, and then they would come in. So I'm going to just read what the code sounded like. So the applicant's code was like GT/24, right? 24 is the year 2024. Then / maybe 333 something. So they would try as much as possible to call the last 4 numbers, because in my own situation, most of the people in Center A, the first 3 numbers were the same. In Center B, the first 3 numbers were the same. So when they call your number, you check your code, you listen attentively, and then if it's your own, you shout and raise up your hand, because like 4 people are calling at the same time, right? One person calls. So we did that in about an hour. I heard my code. They got me my login, because the login detail is tied to that code. So that was what happened. We started, and it was going fine. I think the verbal reasoning was cool. It looked like all these A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then do Z, Y, whatever it is from the back, like forward, backward, forward, write it on top. Verbal reasoning kind of thing was cool. For the mathematics, there was a couple of percentages. There were things around them, compound interest. There were things around, what other topic? Percentage increase, percentage decrease, rate calculation or ratio calculations in 3 places. So those are the things I remember. It was going fine. I think there was a time that all the systems logged everybody out, and people shouted, yeah, you know, in the hall and everything. And then they told us, calm down. Yeah, not calm down, no. As soon as my system came on again, I logged in because I know timer, and then I continued. I had about 11 minutes left. I would have loved to take my time, complete the ones. I mean, I did what I was sure of first, complete the ones I wasn't sure of, score myself, gamble, and do percentage. But my tummy started doing again. So at about 11 minutes left, I did the best I could and left it in the hands of God, and I went back to use the toilet. And that was the end of it for me. So I went to pick my things, got some medication, and I started hustling my way back to my guardian's house where I came from. So overall, I would say that was a great experience in itself, an exciting experience, and also a seamless process. So before I go ahead to ask our guests a final question and maybe read a couple of the letters that we got, and then we'll see you in the next video. Part of the things I'm going to say is I think your location choice is important. In 2020, I'm not sure they had up to 100,000 applicants, but in 2024 they clearly had more than 100,000 applicants, most likely. So what I would say is when you're filling the application form, which is the first stage, you have the opportunity to pick your location and your preferred CBT location. I recommend picking a location that you can access easily. So if you live in Ogun State, and you know if anything happens you can come back easily to Ogun State, but you're working in maybe Ondo State, you may consider either picking Ondo or Ogun State, because anything can happen between when you apply and then when you get the email for the CBT. So that way it's easier for you to come to your comfort zone to write in that location. Another thing I think is also a cheat code is the Corpus Lodge system. So I guess spoke about, you know, having a family friend and church people to stay with. Not everybody has that, and transportation cost is already a lot. The reality of the situation is some people have to borrow funds, take some loans to travel for these things. So if you're having to spend so much on transportation because of distance or current economic realities, you want to try to save on accommodation. So a Corpus Lodge is also a good place. Find out the closest Corpus Lodge to your CBT location and stay there. Or you can stay with family and friends if you have, or you can get a hotel if you have, or if you know a group of people that are going, right, and you feel comfortable and you trust them. I think trust is very important because of security. You can decide to share a space just for the night or 2 nights in the case. And the third thing I'm going to say is to prepare in groups. Preparing in groups helps to form community and build stability. I think when it comes to preparing in groups, we all like the benefit of having someone by our side, but we feel bad when after the whole group preparation and work, someone ends up not making it to the next stage and you're that person. Everything just feels awkward, or someone else, you know, is in that shoe. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed the CBT. So I'm going to ask the final question, and then I'm going to read the letters. How long did it take before you were informed about the next phase?
Oh, wow. So I wrote my CBT in December, and I was told about the next phase just before the new year began, right? And there was a lot of anticipation. And also, when I saw the kind of questions that we were given, I had thoughts, because in my assessment, and also, of course, I had made some level of preparation, I assessed that the questions seemed to be quite convenient for people who took schooling serious, even on the average level, and people that had also taken some extra commitment. It should be something that was uneasy. So I felt that the number of persons that would pass would be high, and it was like, hey, did I do well enough on the CBT such that I would be among one of those persons? So I think one of the things I'll just say in passing also was that the way the timing was, it was centralized, though your system will tell you the time you have actually spent.
Yeah.
But,
since you logged in.
Yeah, exactly, since you logged in. Thank you. But what I later realized was that when the central time had counted 1 hour, which was the duration for the test, everybody's system shuts down.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't like that, because I had about 5 minutes, as that is when I logged in, and when I was logged out from the central system, I still had 5 minutes, about that amount of time left. So I felt I had 5 minutes, but I didn't know that it was a central system. So that's something to
note.
Exactly, to note, that once they say everybody starts now, like, please just get started, because I waited a bit before I could eventually log in. So that's the they contacting me. I think once I was done with the tests, I had to travel, getting back, and just feeling at ease, like, hey, I've done this. It was more like, please also reply soonest, because when you've done your part, you most times would be looking for others to do what they need to do and do it quickly. So in summary, I believe the length of time it took for them to let me know about the next phase was not as long as
Sure.
of course, the previous times. From that point in time, the frequency of the communications, even if it was just some kind of updates that we are doing something, I think it became more frequent, and I think it was more like dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun dun
getting
dun.
there.
Yeah, so that's what it was like for me, and I really appreciated the experience. It was a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah. And just to add, they shared plain sheets of paper
Yeah.
and pens. So otherwise, like, if you need pen, raise up your hand. I didn't necessarily need pen, but you're giving me free pen. NNPC, please, I want pen. So I collected pen. Then they also shared bottles of water.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to speak about, I think, someone else's incident. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us today.
Okay.
So for him, when they got to the CBT center, and of course they put the tag on their hand after they had been cleared to go in, they just took any code tied to anybody's applicant's number and gave it to them. So he wrote well, but when he came out, he was like, I don't think I'm going to get him because I don't think the person I wrote well for me. So yeah, I think he tried to report that, but I think it's also just something to be cautious about.
Very.
Because some people might be impatient in, following the process. Some people might not understand and it's just any number, it's just any code. How does it tie into this specificity of the applicant or the person in itself? Just also to add, in 2024 there was the thing about history, industry knowledge, and also mathematics or calculation and verbal reasoning. But this year the focus was more on mathematics and verbal for graduate trainee, maybe because of the pool, the diversity, and the dynamic nature of the large pool of applicants. So I think a general tip would always be to brush up on the mathematics and verbal reasoning, especially the basic principles and fundamental things, because I remember seeing one compound interest question on my head. I'm like, bruh, when did I learn this thing last? And I didn't necessarily remember the formula, but I remember simple interest equals to P times T times R over 100. So you do the simple interest, then you compound the interest to the principal, then you something, then you do it 2 years. So I don't know if what I did was correct or not, right? I'm not going to know, but I did it in the way I did it in the way I could. So I think just that just that part is important. And like our guest mentioned, it didn't take long before feedback was sent. I think about a week or two after that process, and rejection and information about the next stages were sent simultaneously, so everybody got something. I think I also appreciate the fact that they decided to communicate, as opposed to you get rejected and you don't hear anything.
Exactly.
Because so many organizations do it, and I'm like, I will bite you. Anyway, let me read what the rejection for this phase looked like. It said, hello, first name, last name, and then applicant's code. Thank you for participating in the computer-based test CBT stage of the NNPC Limited recruitment exercise. We truly appreciate your effort and interest in joining our team. After careful consideration and review of your performance and results during the CBT test, we regret to inform you that we will not be progressing with your application at this time. Please note that this outcome reflects the specific requirements and expectation of the role and is not a judgment on your potential or abilities. We encourage you to continue pursuing opportunities that align with your skills and experiences. We greatly appreciate your efforts and encourage you to stay connected with us through our media channels, where we share updates about future career opportunities. You are welcome to reapply for positions that match your qualifications and interests. Thank you again for your interest in NNPC Limited and wishing you the best in your career journey. Kind regards, careers at NNPC. The email for the next phase for those that got accepted look like this. Hello, first name, last name, and then applicant's code again. Thank you for participating in the computer-based test CBT stage of the NNPC Limited recruitment exercise. Following your successful performance in the CBT, we are pleased to inform you that you have been shortlisted to progress to the next stage in the recruitment process interview. The interview will be conducted at NNPC Limited Corporate Headquarters in Abuja. Details regarding the date, time of the interview, and other instructions will be communicated to you in due course. Please ensure that you regularly check your email for further updates. NNPC Limited is committed to a fair, merit-based recruitment process that ensures equal opportunities for all candidates. We value diversity and inclusion, evaluating each applicant solely on their qualifications, skills, and suitability for the role. Rest assured, everyone is treated with respect and fairness in the recruitment process. Please note that NNPC Limited reserves the right to disqualify you at any stage of the recruitment process if you are discovered not to have met our minimum requirements for employment. If you have any questions, require blah blah blah, of course, contact, and wish you best of luck. So for this stage, there was a publication, more like a press release on social media and some media platforms by the organization, that over 40,000 people participated in the CBT stage across the 36 states of the Federation. I think that was crazy, but again, regardless of the challenges, I think they did a good job in carrying out such a seamless, simultaneous exercise. I went home feeling I wish elections could be like this. Yeah, it was good.
Actually,
it was very seamless. It was very seamless, very transparent, very beautiful. I give that to them. So thank you very much for joining. I think, yeah, just finally, because of the number of people that participated, I'm sure the cutoff mark was high. So I don't know what the budget was. So imagine 40,000 plus people participating in CBT, and you have a budget to interview maybe 20,000 plus. And maybe your cutoff mark is 70%, hypothetically. And then you look and you see that 36,000 plus score above 70%. There's going to be the need for you to raise the cutoff mark to maybe 75 or 80 or 90 so that you can stick to budget and cut off people. So I think, again, when it comes to rejection, it can happen for different reasons, like my situation, your tummy turning you, and village people making you go to the toilet multiple times during the recruitment, or you getting signed out because of the central timing system, cut off, a switch, or like the situation of my other friend, writing for somebody and somebody writing for you, that kind of thing that is not planned. So rejections happen for a lot of reasons, but I think the most important thing is not tying the rejection to your personal value and personal worth, and understanding that you did your best. Just because you got selected for this does not mean you will not necessarily get rejected for another process, and vice versa. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we will see you soon in the third video, where we're going to speak about the interview and wrap up this recruitment process. Bye.
Bye.